Imagine a tiny creature trapped in what's basically a golden tomb for 35 million years. It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this little guy is actually rewriting a whole chapter of Earth's ancient history. So today, we're going to dig into how a single drop of amber can completely flip what we thought we knew about a lost world.
You can really think of this whole thing as a detective story, one that's been millions of years in the making. And our main clue? It's this one single perfectly preserved fossil. The secret it's holding? Well, it's about to challenge a scientific idea that people have held for a really long time.
Okay, so to really set the stage here, get this. Our little subject has been waiting to be discovered for an incredible 35 million years. I mean, just think about that number. This takes us way back to a time called the Eocene epoch. It was this warm, kind of tropical period right after the dinosaurs checked out, and the continents were still kind of sliding around into the places we know today. All right, so our story really kicks off with a team of researchers over in Germany and Bulgaria. They're looking at these amber samples that came from Ukraine and the Baltic region, just doing their thing. And then, boom. Inside one of them, they find something absolutely extraordinary. And here it is. This is our subject. It's a harvestman, which is a type of arachnid. It basically got stuck in some sticky tree resin, which then hardened over millions of years into amber. And what's so amazing is that it created this perfect, natural time capsule. I mean, it preserved everything, right down to the tiniest little details. Okay, so to really get why this particular harvestman is so important, we've got to make sure we're all on the same page. Let's just zoom out for a second and ask a basic question. What exactly is an arachnid anyway? Well, arachnids are this massive group of animals. We're talking over 100,000 known species. That's actually more than all the vertebrate animals, things with backbones put together. Most of them are carnivorous, but here's a wild fact. They don't have jaws. Instead, they kind of inject digestive juices into their prey and slurp it up later. Yikes. And a lot of people mix them up with insects, but here's the dead simple way to tell them apart. It's all about counting. Arachnids, they've got 8 legs and 2 main body parts. Insects, they rock 6 legs and 3 body parts. It's a really basic difference in how they're built. Okay, now that we've got that straight, let's formally meet our ancient friend, Balticalasma wunderlichi. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Scientists figured out it's a totally new species, and it belongs to this really cool subfamily called the Ortholasmatinae. And you can basically think of these guys as the armored tanks of the harvestman world. They're known for having these spiky, super decorated bodies. But this brings up a really fascinating problem, right? How in the world do you study a creature that's less than a millimeter long when it's locked inside a solid piece of amber? I mean, you can't just crack it open, you'd destroy it. The solution, it turns out, involved some seriously high-tech stuff. The way they did it is just incredible. They used something called computed tomography. You probably know them as CT scans. It's a lot like the ones you'd get at a hospital, but way, way more high-res. They basically took thousands of X-ray images and stitched them all together to build a perfect 3-dimensional digital model of the fossil, all without ever touching or damaging the amber. So cool. And once they had that 3D model, wow. The level of detail was just stunning. It's stuff you'd never see otherwise. They could make out this prominent little mound where its eyes used to be, a whole network of tiny ridges all over its body, and these super intricate mouth parts. It paints a picture of a really complex, highly adapted little predator just doing its thing in this ancient world. But you know what? The crazy details of its body weren't even the biggest surprise. Not even close. This is where our detective story takes a major turn. Because finding this particular type of harvestmen in this particular part of the world, well, it was a complete and utter shock to the scientists. The lead author, Dr. Christian Bartle, put it perfectly. He said, this group of harvestmen just doesn't exist in Europe today, at all. Finding one there was, and this is a great analogy, like finding a kangaroo fossil in Antarctica. It just does not belong. So if you want to find this creature's living relatives today, you have to travel thousands of miles away. They're only found in these little scattered pockets in East Asia and the Americas. The entire family just completely vanished from Europe at some point, leaving this huge, mysterious gap in the map. And that's why this tiny fossil is such a game changer. It's like a bridge across that massive gap. It is the definitive proof that 35 million years ago, this family of arachnids was actually all over the place, spread across the entire northern hemisphere. This one little discovery literally rewrites their family history.
And just to give you a little more context, this is the 19th species of harvestman that's ever been found in Baltic amber. So while it's a huge deal, it's also another piece of a much larger puzzle. Every single find like this helps us understand this ancient European ecosystem and, honestly, just how much life has been lost over millions of years.
It's pretty incredible to think about, isn't it? But let's ask the big question. Why does one tiny 35 million-year-old arachnid actually matter so much? In the end, it all comes down to what every single fossil really represents. You see, every fossil, no matter how small it is a direct clue from the past. It's a literal piece of a world that's been lost for millions of years, and it helps us piece together the grand story of life on our planet. And as we've seen, just one discovery can totally upend our understanding of evolution and how the world used to be.
And all of this leaves us with one last really fascinating thought. This little harvestman was basically hiding in plain sight for 35 million years. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other forgotten creatures and entire lost worlds are still out there, just waiting in the shadows of history for us to find them?